All right, the meeting of the regular council for the city of Ellsworth for Monday, June the 12th will begin. Let's go and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Test. All right, first item on the agenda will be our consent agenda. It includes the approval of the May the 22nd meeting minutes, the 2023 airport advisory minutes, and claims ordinance A01-0523.
Joining the nice songs. We get the mirror attitude, get to be.
Yeah, I don't know why we never showed up. I just have to go back into that one.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilor Critchfield has made a motion that he would like to approve the consent agenda. Councilor Coates has seconded the motion. Any discussion, debate? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We have just approved the consent agenda. Next portion of our meeting is the petitions and delegations for all citizen comments. Please state your full name and whether you are an Ellsworth city resident. All citizen comments are limited to 5 minutes per subject unless city council has further questions. Would anybody like to come forward? Carrie, come on.
Sherry Horton, and yes, I'm a citizen of the Ellsworth City of Ellsworth. I would like to ask for a letter of support from the city council regarding a community coalition grant to build childcare capacity within the city limits. The Ellsworth Child Care and Learning Center will be the primary facilitator, and I serve on the board of the Ellsworth Child Care and Learning Facility. And economic development will be our fiscal agent to help with that. We're looking for not only the city to be a support and a representative of the coalition, but also to help guide and maybe serve as helping to be the cornerstone for volunteerism. And it can go from all the way from infancy to high school, hopefully to get more community involvement with our youth as well as our regular citizens.
So filling in a little bit, Dustin Callie, so she wanted some help from Callie. Callie's agreed to help her. Dustin's on board. And what does that include? What are you are going to be doing? What is she going to be doing?
So initially, I would like a letter of support of the city,
Right.
so I can continue the grant application because that's part of it. We're also attending a community coalition workshop to ensure we understand how to work with the community to build this coalition.
Good. David, have questions for Carrie?
Justin, you have a finish draft the letter?
I do. She sent me all the email information that I need. I just was asking for she was asking for council support.
I think it sounds like we're at the common, so we done for meeting.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. All right. Anybody else like to speak publicly? Oh, no.
So I do have permission from council to move forward with one.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of leadership support.
Okay.
Frank Von Herman, we're residents of Ellsworth. We're here to request permission to sell fireworks at our personal residence at 512 Woodford. As we've done for the last 5 years. We've talked to all our neighbors, they're all okay with it. We've never had a complaint, never had an issue. Parking will be the exact same as it's been for the last 5 years.
What a challenge you real quick.
We need somebody to help the city build a fireworks program. I don't think it'd be a lot to sell to that program. I think people would understand. You build a program, working with the city administrator. If you sold to them, nobody's gonna complain. It's never gonna happen. Just something to think about.
I haven't actually thought about that. I read the Cowtown this year and.
Yeah.
Fireworks, I thought about it. Our summers are so busy, it'd be nice if we could do something like in late September, when the weather's a little cooler.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's complaining. I think that if they had a nice fireworks show any time of year, they'd be really happy. We just need a citizen to kind of chair that with Dustin's help. And
It'd be most certainly interesting.
yeah, you can get his number and start to coordinate that because we've not had it last year or this year, and we're not budgeted. Well, we're gonna do the budgeting for next year, but the likelihood of budgeting about $20,000 to have a good show.
Well, yeah, that was more than actually, in Geneseo, there's a group of guys that put on a fireworks show over in Geneseo, and it's very low budget.
Right.
And they do a nice job with it, and I actually thought that maybe they would be interested in doing it, and,
That'd be great.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I know that Lions, I don't know how many times I've told the council this, but they're in a fortunate position where they have a foundation, people pass away, they give money to the foundation. If they don't say what that money goes to, they can pull from that money. That's how they pay for their fireworks. So it's not coming from taxpayer money, and then individuals pitch in their own money, their own fireworks, and their goal is to have one of the best fireworks shows in the state, but they have that as an advantage. They have this fund of money. We don't have that, so. But anyway, yeah, if you guys could coordinate.
So you're doing fireworks stand?
Yeah.
Is that insured?
Yes, it has to be.
It has to be, or we can't get our permit.
Very good. Makes sense. Very good.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I look forward to working with you. We'll exchange numbers after.
Be great. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comments? Okay, moving on. Got a pretty full agenda tonight, but we are committed to knocking it out. We've got an update regarding case number 2023-001. That is agenda item report 23-187. And Mr. Dudley, come up and go through this with us.
All right, we brought this to your attention back in January about Mr. Irvin's basement. You guys get until May 23rd to come back and show improvement. So that's why I slated it for tonight, so you can give an update on what he's got done. That's the pictures for you guys and
Okay.
packet and everything, so.
Come up, Mr. Irving.
Blind Irving, Ellsworth. On my house. I've got all this concrete foundation done. That I got a letter in the mail today saying that it was very far off on canceling my house insurance. Cause, the raised house and part of the work that I was doing was from the foundation and it's part of I'm stationing on here. So, I tried to borrow money from a person bank and I didn't do it because insurance. My house was on house arrest. The bad, so I told my state farm agent that I would tell you. And the issue he told me was that we'd have to go to, the state, the insurance. What they'll do is they'll come out and they will, do an assessment on it. And then see if I can get insurance for it. And if I can get money, so I can borrow money to finish it. So I spent everything I've had. I don't have nothing there. I think I've spent 35,000 on it. I haven't exactly down to the map, but I had that mistake, in the account, the bank account that I had, so it's, bank account's closed, because there's nothing left in it. So, I mean, I got all the foundation done, so I can build on it. I'm gonna put block on it. But I gotta get some money so I can get some blocks. Cause, I'm gonna have all the rest of this done, cause my health has been bad, I just, had strep throat. Went back in Saturday, and the emergency room, and they, I found out that I had a severe ear infection, so I'm on that now. So, in the last 2 years, I've had 7 surgeries, 4 of them with kidney stones, 2 of them with each hand, and 1 a total knee replacement. So so I know that I've got to just borrow the rest of the money and have it finished. Or if you guys can give me some other something that you want to jump in and tell me what else you may have that I can do. But I'm willing to work.
So what's the decision that we need to make tonight?
That's why I'm turning to council.
Some other extensions, some works great. Tyler's got some magic. I mean, speaker up here.
My concern is just the safety. I'm worried about the safety of his house. I see he's making progress. We've been keeping an eye on it. That's your decision. We're just bringing, you gave us till May, so I'm just simply honoring our.
I've got 45 concrete pillars under it, that's holding it up. And of course, that's all on the foundation that I've already got. It's all poured over that. And so it's secure, it doesn't look safe, but it's.
Fortunately, I'm not skilled in that area to make that assessment.
I'd say, my opinion, it's a vast improvement from what it was before. It does look a lot better. I think, on your end, you need to find out if you can stay coming to the assessment, whether you get insurance that way, because you're kind of be dead in the water if you can't. Sounds like you're gonna be kind of dead in the water if you can't. It sounds
Yeah, I'm dead locked right now, I can't. And I know that I'm gonna just go ahead and after talking to you today, I'll go back down to our state farm and talk to Anthony, and let's just get the state involved in it, get the assessment. Let's see what they say, so I gotta have insurance, so can't let insurance, I think I get to the 13th of July, so I don't have much time to get something going. 60 days. Well, July, this is June. 13th of July is 30 days.
I would say we have him report back in 60 days.
Justice, sound good? Tyler, thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that sounds fair.
So 60 days, we'll have them come back. Well, good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Garbage.
Okay, thanks for hanging there.
For your patience.
Thanks for staying the course.
Yeah. All right, very good. So our next item will be the Convention and Tourism Committee recommendations. Very exciting agenda item report. AR -23 -194, and Karen will be giving the update.
All right, good evening, Taryn Urban. I am a member of the Bed Tax Committee, and during our June 1st meeting, the committee reviewed 5 applications that we have received in a request for funding, and 4 of which we had agreed and have or will make our recommendations for the funding. Our decisions were based on a new scoring metric system that was developed, which allows us to assess each application individually and assess how well it meets our tourism mission and purpose. And so with that, after much discussion, the committee recommends the following allocations of our budget of $30,000, $30,000, $35. We recommend $1,100 to Ellsworth County Historical Society, $1,500 to Ellsworth Area Arts Council, $8,000 to the National Drovers Huddle Clean, and then $19,435 to the Grow Ellsworth County mission. 92%.
So let's start.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it. Tyler, you have any questions?
I don't think so.
I have no questions.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Glad we got this going, because there was a year in there when we didn't do this. So the money was sitting there, but it was being used, and so now there's an allocation and they can use it, which is good. All right, next item on our agenda.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need to make a?
yes, please.
Is it okay for me to make that motion since I'm on committee?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, sorry, what were you saying? Mr. President. I make a motion to award the tax committee applications as presented. Money and as presented.
I'll send that.
Where is it, that Callie? I got it, stupid.
All right, council, this is not motion to approve the bid tax money allocation, and Councilor Scrivener has seconded that motion. Any discussion, debate, concerns? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? All right, motion carries, so that is in passed, so.
How quickly do those checks get sent to these organizations?
As soon as we get it to you, it's still not for you.
Oh, we were,
It's a matter of days.
yeah, so we don't have to like, we tell that our council, we need to, awesome, thanks.
We just need to get council member signatures.
Cool.
The Drovers convention meeting. All right, wish list, next on our agenda, wish list capital improvement request for 2024. This will be several presentations, correct?
No, we've already collaborated with each department head on, what I wanted from them. We've been working on this since February. Probably the biggest highlight that I would like to highlight to you, most of them are pretty standard, but, a couple of things that I'm not doing. It was discovered by John Dudoff and Angela that in the past we were taking money from water to pay for things. We're not doing that anymore. So each budget is standing on its own. So each wish list item is what they feel they need. The biggest one that I would like to point out is Chief is requesting that the city switch from the KPERS system to the KPNF, which will be a huge chunk in his budget initially, but as you can see in the documentation that I provided, it's just an overview. He feels that it will be better for officer retention to give them a better quality of life long term, and hopefully keep people at the ceiling point for us to keep our police staff. Chief, if you feel I've misrepresented, you can jump in at any time. But there's other highlights too, that water's got their normal project, he's pretty good about their project requests, so. Streets were starting small. And then we'll eventually work our way up. One of the big things you would like to request is, we're discussing things like Parks and Rec. Parks to me, this is just a beginning discussion phase, but parks to me is a recreational function. And I am gonna probably propose in the next year or so, shifting parks back to the recreation responsibility. And then return streets is looking for vehicles, because that would take some of the parks equipment over to the rec side. And so that's kind of the logic behind some of the requests, such as like the truck with the stand on the back and the plow on the front. That we definitely overestimated. Those are the two big ticket items at this point, along with all the others that are listed there that I'd like you to consider that I will be asking for council guidance on within the next meeting or two, and I need to get that wrapped up because that's one of the last line items I need to finish my budget.
Those the sidewalk repair and replace, start replacing sections of sidewalk, utilizing a sidewalk sharing model with adjacent owner.
That's just language borrowed from the code, because right now the code requires all adjacent owners to the sidewalk to maintain their sidewalks. So the cost sharing agreements we've been doing is we've been sharing the costs to start replacing those as a benefit to the people who are.
So the 50,000.
Yeah.
Less than
towards
that.
We're looking towards using that to replace sidewalks, and we were gonna make cost sharing agreements with the owner. That's just kind of a meet in the middle type of thing to replace sidewalks. Some of you have given me feedback about accessibility as being a challenge, so since we don't have equipment to do full on streets projects, we want to start small and start replacing a lot of our sidewalks and curb and gutter. As some of the things that I would like to do to start making our community better. And my long term, if you're willing to let me do it, so I would like to get some street equipment so I can get Troy and his staff ready to do some small street projects and start replacing some of those instead of relying solely on that. Destroying this rock and adhesive.
Of course, the city hall renovations are fairly expensive.
Well, they are, but as Angela has presented, they're sorely needed. This is an older building, so we are gonna start going after grant funding and that sort of thing. To start trying to go and get some of these repaired because windows, structural damage, it does concern us a bit.
All right. But there's somebody questions? This is just kind of a little draft.
Definitely much better than my first product.
Anything else? Tyler, any questions?
Not really, no.
You don't have to move on then, okay. Anybody else? Callie? So the next item on the agenda is the street correction ordinance, AIR -23 204.
I'm listening.
Yeah, so the girl with the rod didn't like some of my language, specifically the street names, which are different downstairs, upstairs, but we've reached an agreement, so the changes are removal of the designation of north in front of the park and one other street. And then we took out, there was one, I think it was Second Street, it was at the very bottom, which had to do with where the golf course sheds are located. And so in the process of me figuring out with them, the north and the south and where else, we determined that there actually is no platted street there, the street ends, which is what we kind of thought, but then it wasn't clear originally when we were talking about it, and really had to just get everyone in the same room from the appraisers and the register deeds, and we worked it all out, and this is what we think will be the best option for accomplishing the same goal. The same goal, different wording.
This goes back, and
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so you guys already approved one, and then it made it to the register of deeds, and they didn't like the language. And I had been talking to Nancy, and so then I got Nancy and Sue and I all in a room, and we got everybody on the same page. There's what the plats show, and then there's what Orca shows, and so. Yep.
The number.
Well, I was, a number, the morning, or that came down. Do what? It'll be the next ordinance, yeah, because it's just, I am amending the previous ordinance for this one. So both ordinances will be technically be in effect.
Absolutely gone.
There's a previous ordinance and then this ordinance, which amends the previous ordinance. Does that make sense? Okay. Because we already passed it, it was very published it, it's technically in effect.
We will assign it the next ordinance number.
It makes it 34 maybe, but I don't put me on that. It's just off top. We don't expect you to. This time. Yeah.
For the ordinance. The ordinance number 3132 as presented.
I'll second.
Councilor Christian has made a motion, we approve the ordinance correction, and Councilor Bose says second on that motion. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We're gonna go and correct that street ordinance. It's AR 23-204 to be potentially ordinance number 3134. We think possible. Okay. All right, moving on to new business. This is a governmental agreement with USB 327. Agenda item report 23-200. I think it has a lot to do with helping them maintain their athletic fields. Patrick, are you gonna come on up and share some information?
Or Dina is also here.
Yeah, Dina, if you would like to join in too. I'm sure this is like pretty short. We don't know a lot about turf management, but
Yeah, well, that's really, that's really just kind of where it came from, conversations with the AD Ron Davis. I felt like it was a spot where we could help them, they were struggling with it, you know, I'm not really a toot my own horn kind of guy, but we're pretty good at what we do. And so this was, a chance for us to help, but also to, make sure that, we're, being responsible with taxpayers' money as well. So that's kind of the agreement set up. Thank you, Melissa, for helping on that. You wanted to add?
We would be very grateful to have the help. Right now, we're trying to maintain a football field when, Kevin's exactly right. That's not our area of expertise. And knowing that we have that within our own community, and that we can create, a partnership to see what it looks like after a season, I think all of us are interested in knowing more about that. And so we're grateful that you're willing to consider it, and thank you for putting that.
In terms of the negotiation piece, council, I'm requesting you to approve me to finish up the negotiations with Dina because timing is of the essence. And so what I'm asking of you is just to approve this initial draft. Melissa and I have drafted it based on all of our feedbacks put together. Right now, Dina's doing one final walkthrough of the version that I have. And with her counsel, and if they have any, I'm asking for your permission for me to look at those counter proposals with Melissa and we can finish the executing the contract so I can get Patrick to work.
we would not see this again. This would be it for us.
I can give you a copy of it after it's executed, but Melissa would be the final approving authority if she says.
I know the only change is just gonna be some rearranging, like I put something in the wrong section. So it just like one section will move up or down, I can't remember what it is. I already done that on my draft, it just didn't make it into your, if that makes sense.
I like to start out of place. What's happening with it? Everybody.
I can get you a final copy to council once Dina's happy with it, once Melissa's happy with it. So that way you at least are aware of it.
Just come right after.
Sure. This
Yes, I would like you to approve it. And I'm requesting approval so I can help Dina finish.
Let's finish it.
Can I get a motion there, please?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I move that, we approve the city administrator to finish negotiations and execute the contract with the school district In the event of minor changes requested by the school district, the following conditions will apply. The city administrator will engage in negotiations with the school district to reach a mutually agreeable contract. If the school district requests minor changes to the contract, the city administrator will authorize to make those changes, provided that they are determined to be minor in nature and scope. Prior to executing the contract, all changes made by the city administrator will be reviewed by our attorney to ensure legal compliance and protection of the city's interests. And if the changes are requested by the school district are deemed to be major in nature or scope by our attorney, the city administrator will promptly inform the city council and the contract will be brought back.
Okay, so. To summarize, we're going to approve allowing the city administrator to handle all negotiations, final negotiations with USD 327, any minor changes. He can handle with the attorney, anything major will return to the council. The second motion, yeah. All right, any discussions, debate, any problems with that, Tyler?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right, hearing that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No comments? All right, motion carries. We'll go ahead and finish the negotiation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank
You
you.
realize we're gonna have to put an extra page in the paper.
Thank you, council.
You're welcome. Next item, the sixth thing, kids Ninja Warrior Challenge at Three Square Park. And here we go again. It seems like it was yesterday and here. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Lindsay Goldsmith, over here, with the Institute John Warden. I have brought with me. I was actually halfway prepared this time. I brought you guys all a flyer as well as the waiver that we have all of our kids sign when they register. As well as the liability waiver, I got up an email, and so I was just gonna just give you guys what we had had in previous years. So you guys can see what we did. This was actually made by Patrick Hoffman, when he was city manager. Did we do, is this what the last year as well?
Probably,
I honestly, I'm pretty sure, I don't think we changed
okay,
anything. And so that was just the like copy that we gave me, and so he's like, well, just make sure that you update it from year to year. Now, with that being said, I know Dustin, you weren't here last year, so you don't know exactly what we all do. But we go down to Peachtree Park, we caution tape around everything that we are using, and it's just that one portion of the park that has like the stage and all of that. But like you say, we caution tape off everything that we use, and we just ask you guys if you could keep the spot site closed until approximately like 3 p.m. Just so we don't have kids wanting to go over there, because sometimes kids don't necessarily listen to their parents, and so they're ready to roam free. But one of our sponsors is EMS. They are on standby all day long. Generally, they have 2 crews that come out, as well as we have at least 2 or 3 firefighters there too. So in looking at Dustin's email, this liability coverage that our insurance that we're gonna have starting next year. I don't know if our funding is necessarily going to like our cash flow. I don't know if it's going to flow, if that makes sense. I talked to my business insurance, they will not umbrella cover it, that was a different location. So they will not do that. I got a very rough estimate today, and it's about $400 for one day. I can only ask what I can ask for my sponsors. And I mean, this is not a profit. I mean, I really, everything that I make from this, or quote unquote make, goes back into the next year to pay to the next year. You know, people have asked me, well, do you give this to charities and stuff like that? That no, it's to funds this event. It's a very big event. Generally, we start planning for this in February, my life has been a little crazy this year, as some of you know. We've had a little bit more on our plate this year, and so we didn't get started quite as early, but essentially got everything pretty well in a order that we need to do things, but I'm just wondering if I'm gonna necessarily be able to use the park next year with this being in place. I understand why you guys are doing it, I'm just not sure if cash flow is in here. The only thing that I can necessarily think of is maybe that we increase our registration fee, but then I worry about our parents really gonna pay that and then drive all the way to Ellsworth, because we have parents all over the state driving their kids to Ellsworth, bringing all of that in. And we try to go to our local businesses for our sponsorships and for our prize money to try to gain some business for them as well. I know Snapchat, just off the top of my head, they generally do gift certificates, so we can try to send people down to them. This year, she would rather do a gift certificate for every single participant, which is huge. I mean, this is upwards of 250 kids participating. And so I don't know, like I said, I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue doing it, or if I am continue doing it, I'm not sure if it's gonna be able to be at the top. With that being said, I thought about maybe it at the plot where my new office is gonna go. But that also comes to the consideration of we don't have as much shade, which is kind of an issue, it's still it's hot. The other issue is that, make this humongous school, that bar has to go somewhere, which means it's gonna go in the street. And so then I'm not sure if that's gonna be a possible problem as well. I mean, it's all gonna filter eventually, but it's just, it might take a while. The creek was really, really nice to be able to utilize. The shade I can get around, I can purchase tents for that, but I guess I'm just trying to completely understand from one day event that we're not even there for 12 hours. And I mean, the kids aren't even there for 8. And most of them are only there for the period of time that they run. It's just like I said, I'm trying to understand why we need necessarily more than what we've had in the past, and it's always worked, I guess. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I'm not complaining.
Right. I can see this is something that's been lost in the whole thing. I think it's really smart, Dustin. We're only thinking about liability. What we're not thinking about is a lot of our citizens, they don't have health insurance. So if a kid gets hurt, their only source of financial restitution is going to be to sue that insurance company, right? Otherwise, they don't have anything. If they get hurt, we're not sued, but they have nothing. So, to Dustin's credit, he figured that out. And that's part of, we can't go out in the world and say, hey, go ahead and do this, but that's what'll end up happening. An attorney will contact the family, they'll find out there's liability. They're gonna go after the insurance company. Now the family has something. So we have a lot of families that don't have health insurance. So I think part of this is the liability for say, we don't want to be responsible, but it's also looking out for those families too. So that's part of the kind of thought behind the rec center and these different events and so on and so forth. So I think that piece is probably the most important.
I guess my question is, what's the use of the waiver then?
What's the use of what?
What's the use of the liability waiver that I've had several times that I had the city?
Right. I think, just to talk to that, she's our attorney, she's spoken to this before.
So your liability waiver provides a release of liability for the city. It does. It's not perfect, it's never perfect. It is a solution. It's what you've done in the past. I guess their perspective, or the perspective that we've discussed, is that there's been the push with all these other events and situations to do insurance. Is that applicable here? That's not my decision. That's their decision. But that there's been other people or other situations that have used waiver insurance. I mean, there's different levels of risk, I guess not like it.
I mean, I guess my confusion is I have a waiver for the city, releasing the city of any liability, and then I have a waiver that each one of the kids sign, or each one of their parents sign for each kid. And so I guess I'm lost in translation of why I'm having to do even more when, and I understand that you applauded my, effort of doing that part, but I guess is this something that I'm gonna be able to do to get cash flow? Because I mean, I understand me taking on more of the debt because this is my event, I am hosting, that's fine. I understand that completely and I accept it. But I wanna pull every single year, that's fine with me, but there's a point where I gotta say, hey, I don't know if I can sustain holding this and hosting this event every year. This is an event that, as far as I understand, there is no event other like this around Ellsworth or even in Salina or in surrounding communities, as far as I'm aware. Now, I could be not, but I don't know. I guess that's where I'm at with it.
So what kind of activities does your kids do in this event?
So it's an obstacle course, different age groups obviously have different obstacles as far as many as they have. The youngest age group is 3 to 5 year olds, they have 10 different ones that they go through. We utilize some of the parks, facilities, structures, the little inchworm thing, we utilize that, they crawl through it. They do have a timer that runs with them the entire course. There is a person standing at every single station or every single obstacle, what have you, to make sure that he falls, gets hurt, nothing detrimental happens. I mean, obviously unforeseen things can happen, you can always do that, weather fault accidents, but we do our best to make sure that every single thing is manned. So they have that, they have, we've done a hopscotch before, we've done toilet paper toss, we've done the little kids, oh yes, they do, burlap sack, hopping in that, they do, we have this big O2 that they run through. For 3 to 5 year olds. 3 to 5 year olds, yeah. And then the middle age group, they get a little bit harder, they get 15 different obstacles. They have a balance beam that, yes, obviously we try to have them do it by themselves, but somebody is there to hold their hand if they need to make sure they don't fall. The biggest or the most dangerous obstacle, I guess I would say, is the oldest group, the 10 to 13 year olds. They do have a rock wall on one side and then net on the other side. Now, we do have somebody stationed again at that obstacle, making sure that they go up the correct way, they go down the correct way.
It's one kid per,
Yes,
for one time. I mean, you don't have several kids going up.
No.
One kid and then wait till they're done and the next kid goes.
and we have a demonstrator that goes through the entire course with all the kids, make all the kids walk with me and have somebody demonstrate the course. So that way, saying, hey, especially the rock wall, just because it is higher up in the air, we say, hey, if you're not gonna go up and down this the correct way, you're gonna be disqualified. And your time will stop, you will not be eligible to, you can do the rest, but you're not gonna win or whatever. So we try to make it very, very strict as much as we can for safety reasons. But I guess that's my big thing is that I try to do every single thing that I can to make it very, very safe, and I don't know if it's gonna cash flow with an extra insurance. So
Looked at the quote was how much for the insurance again?
it was about $400. And I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot on the grand scheme of things, but for one day, it's a whole lot when you're already looking at, I mean, I have close to probably $2,000 worth of expenses just for me. And that's outside of registration money, that's outside of food money, that's outside of sponsor money.
Just the flyers and stuff.
Just the flyer alone, but we send out to all the schools, for all the surrounding schools with that $1,000. So, and I try my best to make sure that's as inexpensive as possible, but.
Philosophically, I guess it depends on which way you want to go. After all, it's council's decision in the end. But one of the big pushes I have had is high risk activity leads to long-term litigation. And it leads to cost to families, and while you may not have to shoulder that for yourself, somebody does. So in the end, that ends up being a ripple effect into the community, and all it takes is that one incident and that one litigation, that one person bringing us to court. Because who's gonna shoulder that burden at the end? The city will, regardless of the waiver. So the question is, I guess we can be reactive and wait till it happens, or the other option that council can choose to do is be proactive. Most industry standards, most recreational facilities across the country do have a requirement for insurance for any use of city facilities. What Ellsworth is one of the ones that doesn't. And so I guess in the end, what do we want to do? I've been trying to sell this idea of insurance because it is high risk world. It's not, and it's my job as yours administrator, working for them to protect their fiscal assets. And so part of how I choose to recommend that is through an insurance policy, which is not reinventing the wheel. All it is doing is just following standard practice for many other facilities across the country. And it does work in mitigating risk. It also protects you and your $2,000 a year that you invest in this event, because all it takes is that one person get hurt. And while the liability waiver will eventually hold up in court, it doesn't save you from the liability of having to go to defend yourself if someone wants to challenge you or me or the city in the process. And that just adds an additional layer of protection, which only costs you $400 as opposed to litigation costs later. So there's a number of different ways you can slice it. So I guess my perspective, I'm trying to look out for council, also trying to look out for your kids in case something does happen to them. And to your credit, I don't disagree with you or your staff member there. It seems like you've done a lot on your end to mitigate the risk so that, and that is very effective. Just from my perspective, when council's asked me to look after their assets and look after special events and trying to figure out policies that work, that is the original intention behind my recommendations, yes, is to try to respond to your question.
Okay.
Real quick, can I add this too? So I think that health insurance part, people just are not looking at that. I think they've got to look at it. I think the other thing, well said, Dustin, what you're doing is great. So let's separate, the great things you're doing for the community and what Dustin's saying, just this world we live in. If we allow an exception here, we effectively could be allowing an exception for Cowtown Celebration, right? Which is a different level of risk for the rodeo, where that creates another ripple effect. So the grid starts to break everywhere. So then the risk we take becomes exponential. So it's not just the Kids Ninja Warrior, it's all this stuff that we just try to allow to, just to go on. So, really, it can become exponential in a hurry. So I think that's something else, something I can maybe look at. So it's nothing personal, it's nothing, we're trying to, impose some kind of, standard that doesn't need to happen. It probably should have been happening, it just wasn't. And, to Dustin's credit, he picked up on this. And so, I think that it's something council will have to decide, but those are the two factors I don't think we stressed enough is what happens if the family doesn't have health insurance? And if we let one, circumnavigate this in whatever reason they use, the others are just gonna come forward and use the same argument. Now we've got a huge problem on our hands. So it's just something we'll have to, kind of mull over here.
And there's other things I'm willing to do to help you with other things too, to help you mitigate costs. I'm sure there's some things that we can work together on to help your event be successful to offset, the costs that you have. I'm more concerned about the liability piece, and that takes a lot of you as well as us. So if there's something else that the city can do, it is a great event. Patrick's told me about, how successful it's been over the years that he has supported you there. If there's something else that we can do to help you, there's a lot of other ways to help you offset those costs too. It's not that I'm trying to be adversarial here. Like I said, my intention with protecting what I feel they've hired me to do is to look out for the bottom line. This is the people and their assets. you know, and which includes you and your event and your business and everything else. So I'm not trying to be punishing here, taxing on you because you want to do something good for the community. I'm just trying to balance and weigh our needs with yours.
Okay, so couple questions. Is the waiver okay for this year?
That's the council's decision.
First of all, I guess that's. I mean, because this event is a little over a month away. I'm okay with it for this year.
Yep.
Okay,
Tyler, you okay with the waiver this year?
Say that again.
She's requesting that she use the liability waiver just for this year, and then we'll worry about next year, when the time comes.
Yeah, if everybody's cool with that, I am too.
okay, so next question is. If I plan to potentially have this up at my office, my business insurance will roughly cover it because it's on our location of business. Now, unless do I need any special permission as far as the water runoff? Because we have this, we have one of the biggest biggest obstacles we have is this big farming pool is what we call it. We basically, it's a tarp with, hay bales around it that we fill up with water. And a string across it, that they don't go in, not obviously full, but halfway full or so, they curl through the bits from to the other side and they come out. Now, all of that water previously has went down into the creek there at the park. Now, if I happen to have it up at my office, that's gonna go in the street. Is there any? Pretty go in the drain. I mean, it'll probably all go down into the drain, but it is gonna take a little while there, because there's a lot of water right there. We know a couple other water obstacles, but I mean, they don't. So I don't wanna get in trouble having all of this water coming down the street when.
I don't see it being a huge issue.
Okay,
I think we can mitigate the cost.
I'm just making sure, all right, oh my God.
I think you can make it so you can have that.
Well, that's, well, the goal is to meet you, I agree with Wayne, my goal is to meet you in the middle.
That was
Because
great.
if I can help you offset the cost in other areas, just for you to have it in the park, the insurance policy is what I'm after. Because that insurance policy will more than cover you for way more than what you paid for it in your initial cost.
Right.
And there's some other ways we can work with you, this is, like I said.
I'm not necessarily against it, I wanna make sure that we can actually afford to be able to continue doing this event, because we have kids from all over the state doing it.
Lindsay, do you know like how many kids you have from outside of the city of Ellsworth, or like a percentage?
Probably they have more outside. Yeah, we really probably do, there's probably a good national two-thirds outside of our community.
So Stacy, I have a question for you then. Could she qualify for an application for bed tax monies if it falls into tourism?
There you go.
So if we experience around this.
Okay.
Three votes in this truth. Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that we can actually afford to put on this, cause I can't ask businesses for more than what they're going to get. I'm not that person. I don't ever want to pressure anybody to donate something that they can't donate, or it's gonna put them in any sort of issue. So
The registration fee, raising that.
yeah, I really don't wanna have to raise that a whole lot either. Sorry. I just don't know how many of our out of town people that we're trying to bring in are gonna travel however many hours and then still have to pay on top of that, so,
We're partners,
okay.
not adversaries.
That's help. Can we keep this flashlight closed until like 3 p.m.? Is that,
Yeah, it's not even open on Saturday right now, is it?
well, I never know when it's open, it's
I
always open.
think it's gonna be.
Okay, so that's one question. The bathroom situation that we had last year is we use the splash pad bathrooms. Is that still okay?
Patrick had the key.
Yes, we had, they kept locking. And so we ended up having to actually have somebody come down. I remember who came down and bring us key. And I think Patrick just kept it.
I sure did.
Cause I mean, it's a little hard for him to get away once in a while as well, so I don't know if there's a way that we can rectify that situation or,
I will work that out with you and my staff.
okay. One other thing is we'll need the key for the stage, because we have a DJ that sets up and sings some electricity.
You can just set that for us. Alright, before we leave.
Okay. That's it. Okay, well, I think that's it. Okay.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda would be the council president election, moving it from May until January. That's agenda item report 23-197.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to move the voting for council president from May to January.
I'll second.
Tom's made a motion to move the council president from May until January. Council Costa second that motion. Any debate, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll do a council president election in January of 2024. Next item on the agenda, golf course job descriptions and pay bands.
Should you speak on this item? So as you know, I've been working with every department to update their job descriptions and get pay bands attached to them. And this is just the latest rendition to this. Patrick and I have been working back and forth to develop these. Truth is Patrick wrote these and I just updated them. There's a couple of things we hope to accomplish. One, to provide official structure to the golf course. And the pay bands are matched with industry standards. They based it off of salary.com and multiple other sources, including the Kansas Municipal League pay bands. And one thing that we would like to do with this is Colby has done a lot to assist us in revamping that clubhouse. One of the things that we propose doing is, along with the proposal of updating these and adding these to our repertoire of golf job descriptions, we would like to switch Colby to a salaried position as a clubhouse director.
What's his title?
Clubhouse manager. But with switching him to, our logic was switching him to clubhouse director would satisfy the administrative, and we also added a lot of Patrick had a lot of administrative requirements to the position to couple that with him. But they have done a pretty good job of increasing revenue, increasing our footprint. They've done a number of campaigns. They've taken over the senior league. And we've got a good team working at the golf course, and I've been pretty impressed with what they do. So this is just me, along with that, that's something I would also like to request the council, at least let you know some of the things I intend to do with the approval. And then I also gave you the current numbers that we plan for 2020 in 2023 involved there. Patrick, did you miss anything?
No, I appreciate the kind words. There is reflection of growth in there too. There's some positions that we don't have right now, but we wanted to make sure we encompass them in case we get there someday. We are growing 8 to 10% every year. We're super excited about that, and if we continue that trend, we're going to need additional help and additional resources. So there's some jobs in there that we don't have now, we won't have next year either, but I don't really want it back. So
You're building it in close and under even that.
exactly.
How many people do you have? How many staff do you have?
We have 3 full timers and 6 people, that's all right. 5 or 6 seasons, yeah.
6, no, 6.
That's it.
Got 6. And Colby came and talked to our Kiwanis Club last week, and I was really surprised and impressed when he told us that you guys have events going on, like 322 days, I think he said.
Yeah, all the weekdays, yeah.
Yeah,
We are,
I mean,
it's been a goal for a long time that we are gonna use our facility and we're gonna make it available to the town. As many days as possible,
that's awesome.
so.
Move to approve the updated job descriptions and pay bands for the positions within the golf course department and presented by the city administrator.
I'll second it.
Councilor Stritchman has made a motion to approve the golf course job descriptions and pay bands as described by the city administrator. Councilor Costa has seconded that motion. Any questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll, go ahead and back to this. Yeah, take it back there.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda will be the approval of firewall installation on the periphery.
So city council, I've been working on making sure since I've been helping you nurse through our experience with the virus or the gosh, man, cyber attack last year. I decided to go all out and just completely protect our network on all areas. We've got 2 servers operating. We upgraded all of the old computers that were considered security risks, like we're talking Windows 7 and earlier. Computers that were 10 years old and had cobwebs forming on them. Patrick got a new machine a while back, to name a few. His had cobwebs on it. So
Like one of the 7s or earlier.
yeah.
Windows XP.
One of the final, this is the firewalls is gonna go to the golf course. It's gonna go to water, it's gonna go to streets, and it's gonna go to rec center. And what that'll do is that'll allow them to connect to the city's centralized server. While being protected at the same time, next check won't have it any other way, which is a good thing. Once they're able to connect their VPN into the server, what my second phase of this plan is to have all of our city documents on the server to where they can access it at any time, like HR documents, personnel documents, information pushed out, like if we update a policy or if we update a personal management, the personal manuals. I can just update it with you, update it, throw it in the server, and then anybody can access it at any time.
Our own internet.
Yeah, building the building blocks to make our own intranet and increase the internal communication. Some of that will also include me torturing staff at Microsoft Teams. And other things to just continue to build our internal communication, increase our productivity, increase our internal communication. That's some of the long-term visions we had this purchase. So yes, you're gonna find a big purchase item from me this year once Angela and I get it together this week, but the goal is worth it, and I think I got insurance to cover some of it, the cost of our hardware upgrades. So I'm pretty happy about that. But that's the reason, that's the internal intention, or that's my intentions for these firewalls, is the last piece to finishing the upgrades of our servers and hopefully protecting us for years to come. And it's right on that line, yes, that's great.
You do that. If I understand, this allows them to connect to the network safely and kind of segment it a little bit, so. We're also be far better prepared should there be another pandemic or some other reason why people have to go home. Don't even want to go back a year ago ever again, really. I mean, you can see the amount of damage it could do could be catastrophic to a city, so I like it.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve $11,000 for the upgrades for the, what are we calling it here? Firewall installation.
Also, Ron's made motion to approve the firewall installation for the periphery of the city of Ellsworth network. Councilor Scripture, I second that motion. Any cause for concern, questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Another segue into something else, what we really want to do is user policy. You know, after all this is done, we don't want people on TikTok and just doing things they shouldn't be doing and spending all this money on this hardware and then not teaching the employees and saying, here's what you can and can't do. Because when you work for K-State, I'm sure you signed something saying, here are the things you can't do, acceptable use policy, that's what we're eventually gonna move to. And, that will be the final piece to this. They all agree with it.
All right, the next check will,
Right.
have some examples.
Exactly, sorry, we'll approve that, very good, okay. Next item on the agenda will be curb and gutter.
Sorry,
No, here.
as per, we want to show the public that we're utilizing the fees that we're charging them for what they're intended for, and as part of that. Example, Troy Kralik has come up with 4 locations to utilize the curb, the stormwater utility fees. To start fixing. I'm not an expert in this area, so I rely a lot on his judgment. But the overall agreement or the overall strategy is start from the inside of town and work our way out with our replacement. We did have one complaint today that depending on how bad it is, we'll go examine that as well. That's just a second. The current request is for curb and gutter replacement. We're going to utilize Kyler and Son because we just don't have the staff to do all of it efficiently. And so this is their bid to replace the sections that Troy has identified background.
The only thing I was wondering, and I think, remember Wayne bringing this up a while, years ago or whatever, but the handicap stuff, is that gonna be, the right way they do it for the feds or the state? I'm just wondering that.
That's a good question, Tyler. Wayne has sent me the requirements and I have forwarded that to Troy. So he should have those, but I will follow up with Troy to make sure that we are doing it the way that it's recommended.
Are there any questions before they pour the concrete?
All right, I'll make sure that Troy knows.
The Lincoln Avenue, is that where Lincoln Avenue, just 8th Street right there, that just kind of disappears?
I don't know what that, I believe so.
I thought Lincoln was down the grade school.
Cameron knows how for the greatest one.
Yeah.
I think that's very hard. What's that?
Oh my gosh.
But the, where it meets 8th Street. The sidewalk just stops right there. This isn't addressing that, I was, okay. All right, so that question's come up, like, hey, how do handicapped people get across 8th Street, so, okay. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion that we approve the bid from Kyler and Sons to do sidewalk work in an amount not to exceed $34,000.
Council members make motion to approve the curb and gutter project awarded to Kyler and Sons not to exceed $34,000. Councilor Scritchfield has seconded that motion. Any discussion? Or discussion?
In the future, Melissa, can you work up a general contract that we can have people sign for things like this?
Sure.
Okay, ready to vote?
All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We will go ahead and approve the $34,000 of Kyler and Sons for these improvements. Next item would be the community funding assistance application. Agenda item report 23-203. And go ahead, that's gonna be.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm trying to systemize certain processes especially when it comes to budget, to try to make the process streamlined and consistent with everybody. That's the goal of how I attempted to do this. And it seemed to be pretty successful. We have some things we have to do better on our end, like I would like to develop a list of all the people who have requested this year, and so that way we can send it next year. This year we, because it was the first time doing it, we just sent it to all of the nonprofits that we knew about. And we tried to include everybody, but we will be even better next year. Because we did get, as you can see, there's a lot of applications here for that. I'm just using a standard form, so you get the same information from everybody, and the intent is to help you make it easier instead of multiple presentations, with multiple different things on it. Is the idea, but this is all of the applications that this is all of the applications we have received. I don't imagine I would expect you to give me your recommendations today, but at least it's presented for your scrutiny. And the hope is that it'll enhance transparency and accountability. Hopefully we'll make the process easier for everybody when we don't worry.
No, I think that's a big part of it is people don't know how to apply for things sometimes, and there's a documented process, and that makes it better for everybody, I think.
Okay.
That was just the honors to us.
Yeah, and all of them are presented in your packets. I will be hoping for your guidance on who you want me to give award these to in our elections.
Move along to the approval of the gap waiver resolutions for 2022, 2023.
Yeah, so this is something that you guys, Wayne, you probably are familiar with this, it's something that we waive. So we do not have to follow the generally accepted accounting principles, Kansas is a state where we don't have to follow that if we pass a waiver. We can do everything based on like cash disbursements and things like that, cash disbursements and receipt. And we don't have to follow generally accepted accounting principles. So it was not passed in 2022, and the auditors told me that I could retroactively pass it today, along with the one for 2023, because we are working on the 2024 budget. So we could go ahead and pass it for, well, and technically, I guess I could pass 2024 tonight too, but. Yeah, so, we could pass all three today, but I'm gonna say 2024 until we'll go ahead and do it later in the year. But we are working on 2023's budget, 2024's budget, so, I just figured we passed both 2022 and 2023 tonight, and I got it cleared from them. They said that's what a lot of considered, so. And they said I could retroactively pass 2022, since we did pass it then, to cover us for that year. So,
Did it just get approval? What, you know?
I think so, I don't really know. I know it was passed in 2021 now, so that's good. But. In the auditors asking for it this year, doing my research, and it was never passed, so. It needed to be.
So we would need two separate motions, or could we make one motion, or does it matter?
I think you can make one motion to pass the resolution.
It's a resolution, right? Yeah, they're two separate resolutions, but you could probably do one motion for, and then turn the motion each. They are something that has to have a tally vote, so like, you guys have to vote on them individually, but. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-03 gap waiver for 2092 and resolution 2023-04 gap waiver for 2020.
Motion to gap waiver for 2023-03, that's for 2022. And resolution number 2023-04, which is the gap waiver 2023. Councilor Spritchfield has seconded that motion. We're gonna go ahead and do a tally vote. So Jessica, what is your vote?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Yeah, what's happening? Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, final item in the new business section of our agenda tonight is the agreement with Cruises Discount Fireworks. That is agenda item report 23-205.
So Tammy came in, Tammy Cruz came in, on behalf of Cruises Discount Fireworks last week, and she was just kind of questioning, why do I have to attend city council meetings every year to ask for permission to use city property when I've used it for however long? Is there a way of making an agreement that I can, use it? We thought maybe like a 5-year agreement, we could say Tammy Cruz, which is, or Cruises Discount Fireworks is permitted to use the city property south of Pizza Hut for their fireworks stand for X amount of years, we were thinking maybe 5, with the disclaimer that if the city were to want to use it for something else, then that would take precedent over her fireworks stand. She still has, I mean, she has liability insurance, premises insurance. She still has to get, her firework permit is the same as everybody else's as far as that goes. But she was just seeing if we could maybe write up an agreement with her for an X amount of years to use city property. So,
Where does it go on the property? Is it closer to the trees or is it further back, or I can't remember, I don't know if I've seen it.
I mean,
Right there,
yeah,
corner of their parking lot.
yeah,
So how far between the pavement and her stand to the right? Is it the portion that meets on the property?
no,
Just
like on the line, yeah, probably, I mean, there's not a lot of room, but. I mean, I think Pizza Hut knows, I mean,
You know, Crooked Dog Park. Yeah, that's the thing, we're looking.
I told her that, there's been discussion about
Look
this,
at her
yeah.
survey exactly, and I think having her there in the dog park is fine, I mean, dogs and fireworks hit each other, but. That's not, I feel we're like that. Yeah, you can my smell and like, I don't know about that. But I think that, that would be my only concern, is not knowing exactly where the dog park.
Right, but she said if something, I mean, she's always known that, it's
Yeah.
something that's been
Right.
unwritten that she would move or not be there, if something we worked out in the city, so. It was just the idea of having an agreement in place instead of.
Yeah, 30-20 improvements, I was thinking it's like where, even if the park were there, would she still be there? Well, why would she can, it's just that we have to look at that and see. You know, it wouldn't be advantageous to her to be, like you said, further south, people would walk across the field, and that wouldn't be advantageous at all, so.
I think that, I don't know if she
Right.
had it there, if she chose that, if she chose to have that back there, I don't know if she chose to be there, but she just said.
Yeah.
Until we do something, then
Okay.
the idea of just having an agreement with her that she can use it.
So how does it work with her insurance? Does she, would she have to come and provide that to you every year?
She does already, when she applies for her fireworks permit. I have to have proof of their insurance and, a couple of other documents for them to be able to hold their stands anyway. So, that we already have that, yeah. And she's, like I showed on there, she's had it for like 30 years, but like 17 has been in the same spot, she's had her spot there for like 17 years, so. Yeah.
I mean, if she has insurance and it's proof of it every year, what, would there really be a problem unless we wanted to do something different, let her know and then. I mean, I don't see why that'd be a big deal to do it every 5.
That's a conversation I already had with her, and she's well aware of that, and how it always has been, that's always been the agreement, so.
Shut her there, she can that. Okay, but you know, I got that, it's just. Conversation, but I'm gonna be successful first, of course, you can't just. You know, suddenly make that appear, but I think that would be something, you know, that could be advantageous to her and anybody else, as you said, it could be other people besides. Fireworks too, that want to sell fruit, or they want to sell something else, so that would be win-win for everybody, so I like it. So. Go and write something up and we can approve it. Julie write something up. Yep. You want to say to me? That is everybody happy with that? Yep. Okay, all right, moving on to department heads, recreation. Your golf course, Patrick, do you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay. Gonna get this right. Short year.
Yeah.
Now. Took what, a year and a half to get that right? I gotta say, no, those. Water and sewer, Joe's not here, she's not here. Chief Halfill is awesome, he's off, he's fishing. Alright. Yeah. Angela's not here, Delvin, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Melissa, do you have anything?
I just wanted to take a couple minutes to officially introduce you all to Alex.
Hey, Al.
She is and the technical term is extern, I think it's just the legal version of an intern in our office this summer. She's participating in a program through Washburn Law, which is funded by Hanson Foundation, which promotes practice of law in the whole campus. She just finished her 1L, so her first year of law school at Washburn, and so she'll be here this summer, working in our office, and she's already jumped right in on some city stuff, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. When I first met Patrick, I thought, gosh, that city lost, it sounds very important, but after working it, I'm like, no, it's not. It's crazy, the stuff that goes on, it's really amazing. But welcome, hope you enjoy it and continue with it, so very good. Melissa, you have anything else?
I do not.
All right, Calvin, anything?
I just would say that I have a new employee start today, Stephanie Rod is now our new account clerk. And she's going to come to be, I'm gonna bring her to the first meeting in July, because every Monday in June has summer back. So, she's gonna be here the first meeting in July to meet everybody officially, but she did start today, so, and Mandy is staying on 15 hours a week to do cemetery records for us to keep up on that. She was already 4 head deep in it, so she was just gonna keep doing it until it's done. So we allotted her 15 hours a week and she's just kind of coming on, so. Yep, I appreciate her for that. So things are good.
Good. Anything else?
Nope. Already got my report, so I'll keep it short. I just wanted to congratulate Callie and Angela for the Wednesday. They and even prior to Wednesday, about a month and a half beforehand. First day that they the auditor published their website and gave us all of their demands, like Angela and Callie, I had it almost all loaded within a week. Like, well, I'm completely worthless in this process. So I even kept, while they were in here in the back doing their meeting with the auditor, I came in and they looked at me like, what am I doing here? All right, you guys got it covered, so I could go to the funeral of one of my colleagues. I don't know how many of you knew this, but Larry Payne, who was a pretty big in our world, passed away. And he was the city manager of Hillsborough. And he's personal to me because he has assisted me with multiple issues that I had. So you'll see a lot of his work and some of my decision making, because I assume he's right for me. So I just wanted to thank you all, thank Callie and the staff, like I'm spoiled rotten with your the department heads you've allowed me to work with, and I'm spoiled rotten with y'all. So, sounds like flattering, I promise it isn't it? You don't are blessed, thank you. And thank you, Ellsworth.
Thank you. All right, city council, Tyler, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Very good. Mike, you're good? Nope. Justin?
Just a question. So since, and I apologize since I was here at the last meeting, perhaps you guys talked about this, but then since we moved the date to do the president's of council up to January, like I know some city council members sit on committees, is there any chance we could also move some of that? Just thinking like, if I'm on the bed tax committee and if by chance I don't get reelected, then that means that like. Votes for council. But, and I sit on other committees, so then does that just vacate that seat till May? I mean, there's the one that I sit on with Chief Hatfield, and we've never met in the 4 years.
You don't, it's, you're worried about it, you don't get reelected.
Well, not university, but like anybody who sits on some of those committees, if we're not voting on them till May, then does that mean just an empty seat? No, a lot of those.
That all depends on the committee, but I know the
Yeah.
tax committee is
Thank you. Council.
Yeah.
What, and there's another person that's non like.
Library.
Well, but that's just the mayor's position, right? So whoever is on that position is automatically on the committee.
There's some sort of.
Is there a lot that is a council member that have you enable in this room now?
Yeah, and that's because I mean,
So that could be,
because I'm a council member.
that might change, or it would just be a vacancy that the mayor appointed that.
But it's not a big deal. I'm just curious when I did, but I'm like,
I would change it if you guys want me to. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out where it's at.
You can let's get that straightened out. I mean, I see what you're saying. There are some here too. That's that person.
But if you don't get reelected, you have to stay on the vet tax.
City, not asking them, actually, I think that's what it is.
that's the way it was presented to me.
She's the city person on that.
The ordinance just don't mention.
It doesn't say that on the ordinance.
It's not that, yeah, so the big one I was thinking of was whatever that stuff is. And Graham, we haven't met, but I mean, those things for you, as the council person, and then if that council person doesn't get reelected, I'm just curious. If you
What is it? Substance abuse task force.
Yeah. Oh. And I don't know if Aaron and Darcy and Tyler sit on anything, but task, just the ones I was thinking.
Tax force?
Task.
T-A-S-K.
Oh,
Task, same tax, not tax task.
That's mission of work. I just pointed to these road students on the bus.
Or the substance abuse task force.
Yeah.
I think to check a box.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, well, people just told me we've never had to meet, so. Hopefully that's the thing that we can continue.
That's your point, you just look at them, listen.
Yeah.
That's how we figured out the fire sheet that we read for the ordinance, to go, well, we skipped, we missed a step, we didn't do it at the right time. And then we started to look at the library like, and I think that may have changed in December, I think that version of, you go back to December 2022, there were changes. We don't know what it was really before that, but clearly we were involved. And you read it and like, it's plain as day, it's what happens, so, but it's good that you're ready again, so.
Again, I'm not gonna always sleep over it, that's what was on today's agenda, I was just curious. That's it, so I'm curious.
Okay. Mayor's comments, well, a ton to talk about, but keep it short. I think we meet July the 18th at 6 p.m. at Stacy's office to kind of gauge how many people are interested in being on the Cowtown committee, and we'll kind of go from there. You know, we have a bunch of people show up, they're committed, then you know, take it to the next step. If very few people show up, there's not a lot of interest, and we kind of start to look at, you know, how to wrap this up. We did. You know, we're trying to protect the assets of the committee. You know, we've got an account, it's over at Golden Plains, so we're doing the right things there, making sure multiple people can sign for it. So just have to figure out which way that's gonna go. Could have a festival next year. It could be, you know, we don't. We just do something else and there are other things we could do, and we'll figure that out when time comes. So that's something. And then, of course, I think in 2 weeks, we're gonna face this full insurance thing again. So I think Brittany and BJ come back.
We're just gonna invite them too, because we
Right.
held a conversation.
And then we've had a lot of the conversation, no sense in redoing it all. That's one reason I spent a little time with Dr. Lindsay, was because we're gonna be doing this again in 2 weeks. You know, we can start bringing up those points again. And then we're starting to get some quotes in the dog park. That's gonna happen. And then Crescent Park, the advisory committee's meeting, they're gonna get some information from an engineer. Hopefully, we're gonna start to see that plan, you know, start to form a little bit better. But go ahead.
After you're
done.
Okay.
Yeah, so, keep going on for a long time, but those are some of the things that are going on, so very exciting. We still are gonna work hard on our communications. I think we're gonna get this thing locked down. We're gonna make it a priority. We're just gonna pull it across the line. Better communications in here, people can see video better. We talk about signage here. I think Dustin, Stacy and Jim are gonna have a conversation about citizen lab software. We talked them a year ago, but I think something happened in the community was just, we've got to communicate better. One thing you may not know about is we made a decision, I think the meeting, May the 22nd, about the splash pad, what days it was open. that information got just, there were 10 million ideas up. People had no idea what days it was open and they were making up stuff. And I'm like, we have got to lock down communications where people know what's going on. So, there was another incident, a local stakeholder was really hurt pretty badly reputationally, and we don't want to get into too many details. I heard that and I thought, you know, it's not our responsibility, but if we as a town were communicating better, this wouldn't happen. And, so those are some things to be looking for in the future, but, I'll just kind of end it right there, and I know you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I wanted to say first, I've got Creases Park Advisory Committee. Thanks Jessica for facilitating that.
Thank you.
That they asked for a geologist when they had their discussion with, the engineer Heather Brian Foster with WG Consultants. However, I also had a meeting with Carlton recently, and Carlton gave me some information that, I was tracking. So, he was able to fill in some gaps. There was a geologist that came to kind of confirm your memory.
Yeah.
Now granted, they only did to the depths
Right.
of project at the time, but at least it's a starting point for Brian Foster. I sent that. I also got the hydrology report, thanks to Kirk and Michael. They sent me that. That was the missing piece he needed, so now Brian Foster has it. So I should have more data from Brian Foster once he's able to send it, besides all that. And then the only other request I forgot to mention, sorry, Tyler, but then is a request, I've written over the weekend, I went to Legion College and got trained. I am now officially trained as a service officer for the Legion. And I would like to apply that to our citizens and help veterans that I know who need help. Try to help them get their benefits. I now have the resources that I was missing. And I've talked to you individually, I think you and Wayne, but would council have an issue if I use 2 hours of city time to be available for our veterans at a central location? I would say that it's more than one job too, because it's a group of our constituents, but I didn't know how to feel about it. Maybe 2 hours a month or 2 hours every couple of weeks in the month. I will neglect my regular duties, but you know, as an additional avenue that I can use my resources to help these vets. I didn't know if anyone had any issues with that.
I think that's a great idea.
Tyler, you okay with that?
If they had an issue with it, they would definitely not get reelected, so I'll say that.
Sorry to interrupt, Mayor, I just.
Yeah, well, speaking from some of these non-tribune elections, I see exception. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. And like I said, you know, you can still talk about city business and while you're talking to them too. So I think it's a great idea.
Well, thank you, Ken. So,
Anything else?
no, that was,
Okay.
the Creases Park and that,
Right.
I think.
All right, that is it. We'll go and accept the motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Councilor Coons has made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor Springer has second motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? All right, motion to adjourn has been approved. Okay.